Hey everyone, it's Carissa, and welcome to day 5 of the 12 Tags of Christmas with a Feminine Twist. Today we are talking about glitz and glitter and shimmer and shine, and did I mention glitter? And I thought today, day 5, was the perfect day for me because if you know the song, on the 5th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 5 golden rings. Yes, that's right. We're going to do gold. And I'm showing you some of the products I'm going to be using today. And I'm starting with some products from Mama Elephant. A lot of products from Mama Elephant today. I'm using the Tags a Lot die set, and you could see the few dies I pulled out from that. I am also using this Slim Tags Trio, this little bow from that. I'm also grabbing this little dot detail die from the fine trimming set, as well as that Mary script die. Now, I keep this little frame on my work surface on my table. It has some magnet material on that glass surface, and it keeps me from losing my dies because I have been known to throw some dies in the trash before. Because when I work, it's like a bomb went off. So I'm cutting down some linen cardstock. This is from the Essentials by Ellen line. And I'm cutting it down to about 6¼ inches because that's how big I want my tag to be when I do some partial die cutting. But before I get to that, I'm going to use my precision base plate on the bottom of my cutting sandwich. This takes the place of the bottom standard cutting pad. And I'm going to just layer up my dies there with some glitter cardstock and then a regular standard cutting pad on the top. This helps me get a really clean cut on this glitter cardstock. I know some people have some troubles with it, but you can see when you use that precision base plate, they pop right out. So now it's time to do the partial die cutting of the tag, and I like to use these on the edge cutting pads. They're just a little bit smaller. It helps me to manipulate them into ways that I couldn't do with the standard cutting pads. In this situation, the standard cutting pad would work, but I have this tool, so I go ahead and use it. So you can see I left the bottom part of that tag out of the cutting pad sandwich, and that's because I want to make this tag longer than it actually is. And what I've done is I've just moved this die down until I felt it kind of lock into those edges that were already cut. And then I sandwich the bottom half of that die, and this is a partial die cutting technique, and what I end up with is a tag that is longer than the original die cut or the original die. And the reason that I've done that is I'm going to layer this on top of another Ranger tag, and I wanted the proportions to be right. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up all of my die cutting. I've cut that banner out of some pattern paper as well as some licorice twist cardstock. And now I'm using this fine trimmings detail die to kind of cut some dot detail along the bottom of this Ranger tag. Now I've cut the first line, and what I've done is I just kind of moved this up and shifted it over a little bit and then run it through my die cut machine again. And that's just going to give me a really nice little detail along the bottom. And I'll use my craft pick and just kind of run it across there to poke out all those little holes or those hanging chads that are still left. So you can see here's all of the die cuts that I have created, and now I'm going to start on my stamping. I'm using the Christmas Scribbles stamp set from the Essentials by Ellen line with some Mama Elephant Mojito ink, and I'm going to kind of create a bow effect with this. So I'm kind of stamping this multiple times. I'm overlapping it in some places. I'm making sure that I turn the stamp so that they're not all in the exact same direction, and I'm just going to fill this in, and I'm going to get this really nice bow effect kind of coming in from the left side and down that tag. And you're going to see that when I'm done here, it just creates almost like it's the edge of a really large bough of a Christmas tree. Just a really pretty effect, and I love this really traditional green that I get with that Mojito ink. Now for the sentiment, I wanted it to match this banner, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shape that into the shape of the banner. Since this die cut is a symmetrical die cut, I can go ahead and just flip this over to the back side and then lay my clear block on top of it and shape that stamp right along the clear block in the line of that banner. Now this only works to flip it to the back side if it's a symmetrical die, but I lucked out and this is. And you can see there when I go ahead and stamp that on there, it's going to match the shape of that banner perfectly. I'm going to go ahead and white heat emboss my sentiment on this, so I'm prepping the surface with a little EK Success powder tool. I've inked it up in some Versamark ink, and I'm stamping it onto that banner. And then I'm going to use some super fine detail white embossing powder. The super fine detail is very important because this sentiment has such fine lines that if you don't use a detail embossing powder, you're going to get like this blob of a sentiment. But you can see that in the pictures, because I used that super fine detail embossing powder, it turned out beautifully. Now I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to mask this stamp here. This is from the Mama Elephant Confetti stamp set. You can take your Post-it tape and mask the stamp itself and then go ahead and ink it up and pull off that mask and stamp it onto the project. I just wanted the words from this. I didn't necessarily want the lines because I thought there was too much black going on at the bottom of this tag with the lines. And you can see here that actually when I masked this off, some of that ink seeped through and got onto my tag there. But I'm going to show you how I can fix that. I'm just taking my craft knife and I'm scratching the surface of the cardstock where that black residue is. And I'm just going to scratch that off, and then I'm going to take a photopolymer eraser and just go over the surface of that to smooth that cardstock out. And then no one will ever know that I totally messed up. So here's another option. You can actually take the Post-it tape and lay it onto your project and then ink up your stamp and stamp onto the project. And that just masks off those lines, and then I didn't have to do any creative inking. Now you could definitely do some creative inking too, but I'm way too lazy for that. So I'm going to take this Mary script die here. I'm going to thread it onto this sentiment banner here, and I just added a little zig two-way glue to the back of that because I want that to adhere onto there. So I've added it to that loop of that Y as well as the bottom of the M, and I've gone ahead and attached those together. And now I'm just adding a little more liquid adhesive because that's what I have here on my work surface right now. And I'm going to attach that red pattern paper to the bottom. And then I'm going to attach the black and white pattern paper along the top so I get this layered banner effect. Now these pattern papers are from the Basic Gray Juniper Berry collection, and that top one is from a retired Jen Hadfield collection, but I'll link something similar in the supplies. And then while I have that liquid adhesive out, I might as well use it to put that tag topper on. And now I'm grabbing the Mama Elephant Jingle Greeting stamp set, and I'm going to use both the small and the large striped ornament. And I'm just kind of planning this out ahead of time because I have better luck when I plan things like this out instead of getting all willy-nilly on it. So I'm just creating some little dots with my pencil where I want to stamp these ornaments, and I'm inking them up in some Mama Elephant apple ink and just stamping those on, and they're going to look like they're hanging from this beautiful bow that I've created with that Mama Elephant Mojito ink. So I've stamped the larger ones towards the bottom, and I'm going to use the smallest one up here at the top. And then once I get those stamped and I kind of let them dry a little bit, be careful because this is a pigment ink, you don't want to smudge it. But once it dries, I'm going to go ahead and add these little glitter bows, and I'm just using that zig two-way glue once again and my tweezers to place those onto the top of those ornaments. Now to add my banner grouping here with my sentiment, I'm going to add this on with a little foam tape, and I wanted to use a double layer of the foam adhesive to add even more dimension to it. So I've gone ahead and put one layer down, removed the backer, and then put the second layer on top, and then I'm going to affix this to that tag there, and it's just beautiful how this comes together. Now this doesn't have a hole in the top, so I'm just taking my little crocodile here and punching a hole where that tag topper hole already was, and then I'm going to add a couple layers of this gold thread along with some red and white baker's twine to the top of this tag. And this is just another opportunity to add a little more shimmer and shine. That gold thread kind of adds some shimmer and shine to the thread that's up there. And I'm going to loop both of these tags together with that twine. And I love the layered effect because it not only creates a more substantial tag for your gift or your present, but you can also kind of swing it open and write a message on that back tag, which makes it really nice. Now this was an afterthought, but I thought this needed a little bit more shimmer and shine. So I'm taking a really thick layer of this multi-medium in the matte finish, and I'm adding it to the top of some of those branches there, and then I'm going to add this clear rock candy distress stickles. This is the dry glitter right over that, and because I have that really thick layer of the multi-medium in the matte finish, it kind of gives a little dimension to that. And then, of course, what would a glitz, glimmer, sparkle, and shine tag be without some sparkling clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh? And then I'm going to finish off the sentiment with a layer of glossy accents over the top, and that just really magnifies that glitter. So here's a look at my final tag. Very beautiful. Of course, my theme is glitz and glitter and shimmer and shine. And I really love how this tag turned out, but I thought I could make this even more feminine. And so what I've done is I've just taken and changed out two things. I've changed the red for pink and the gold for silver. And look how beautiful this is. I cheated on gold, and you know what? I loved it. I loved it. Shh, don't tell gold. So here's a look at that second tag. As always, I will have more still shots over on the classroom blog, as well as all of the supplies linked there. Be sure you visit us there, and you can see Chrissy's tag as well from Mama Elephant. She created a tag with this theme in mind as well. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.